Welcome back to the deep dive. You guys have been asking for this one for a while.
Yeah.
A deep dive into Crave Me by Lexi C. Floss.
This is going to be good.
Honestly, I'm still thinking about this one, even after finishing it.
I know, same here.
It's got, like, everything you'd expect from a fantasy romance. Fated mates, forbidden love,
Yeah,
a dash of danger.
for sure.
But it's also, like, so much more than that.
Oh, I think so.
And trust me, the story starts with a literal bang.
Oh, yeah.
An explosion rocks a Dublin pub, kind of pulls us right into the action.
That explosion isn't just like a random act of violence, though, right? It really sets the stage for the whole story.
Okay, yeah.
Lexi C. Floss uses it to introduce us to Nyx, who is the goddess of night,
Right.
and Vespers Veritas. He's the vampire king of the House of Gold and Garnet.
Okay.
And right from the start, their connection is so palpable. They're
Mhm.
fated mates, like destined to be together.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's not all smooth sailing.
not all smooth sailing. You got it.
Fated mates, a pub explosion in Dublin.
It already sounds like my kind of book.
Right.
And I'm dying to know more about the world that they live in.
Okay.
What can you tell me about, like, the world building in Crave Me?
Well, the world building is definitely one of the things that makes this book so captivating.
Right.
Floss blends magic, mythology, and real-world locations.
Yeah.
Like Dublin and Reykjavik, like seamlessly.
I like that.
It's not just a backdrop either. The setting really informs the story.
Okay.
So we're introduced to this intricate system of ruling houses.
Oh, interesting.
Each house is connected to specific elements and gemstones.
Oh,
You've got like the House of Fire and fluorite, air and amethyst, even spirit and sapphire. It's like a visually rich concept.
Yeah, I'm already, like, picturing all these houses in my head
Right, yeah.
with, like, their different gemstone motifs.
Exactly.
And Vesperus is, like, vampire king of the House of Gold and Garnet. So it sounds pretty powerful.
It is, and the story explores the complexities of power in a really fascinating way.
Yeah. So 24 years before our story begins, there was this huge war. It's called the Great Sacrifice,
Okay.
which was like this big power struggle between the houses.
Wow.
And this event still casts a shadow over the present.
That makes me think about how, like, even in a fantasy world, the past always influences the present.
Right, exactly.
So we've got this power struggle between the houses, and then, boom, Nyx shows up.
Yeah.
A goddess who literally draws energy from the moon.
That's right. She calls it Stardust.
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 Okay.
It's like her power sword.
How does her arrival, like, shake things up?
Her power is unlike anything anyone in this realm has ever encountered before.
I can imagine.
She doesn't just, like, wield magic. She almost seems to be, like, a part of it,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to the moon.
So the other houses are a little concerned
They are, yeah.
because her presence can just, like, disrupt everything.
Well, it can disrupt the balance of, like, lunar energy,
Okay.
which can lead to some pretty serious consequences.
Wait, so she can actually affect the moon? I'm trying to, like, wrap my head around that.
Yeah, remember,
But-
Nyx is the goddess of night,
Right.
and so her power, her stardust, is intrinsically tied to the moon.
Oh.
And when she draws too much energy from it, it can actually influence things like the tides on Earth. You know, there's like a real world connection there.
I see.
And it can destabilize the entire magical realm, which is why the ruling houses are, like, on edge.
Yeah, I mean, she sounds like a force of nature.
Definitely.
This must put Vesperus in, like, a tricky situation.
Uh-huh.
He's a king with responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
And now his fated mate is this, potentially world-altering goddess.
Yeah.
What's going through his mind?
He's definitely facing a dilemma.
Yeah.
Vespers is known as, like, a truth seeker, right?
Okay.
Someone who prioritizes justice and balance above all else.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also, like, drawn to Nyx.
Right.
And their bond as fated mates is undeniable. He's torn between his duty to his people and his feelings for her.
It's a classic internal conflict.
Yeah.
Head versus heart.
Exactly.
And I'm betting things get even more complicated, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's like that whole explosion in Dublin to consider.
So that explosion wasn't just a random act of violence.
Okay.
It was orchestrated by this mercenary named Class,
All right.
who he faked his own death
Wow.
and is manipulating his mate, Fallon Doyle. She's a powerful witch with death magic.
So there's a revenge plot brewing.
You got it.
But why target Nyx and Vesperus specifically? What does Claus have against them?
So Klaus holds like this grudge against the House of Gold and Garnet.
Okay.
He feels cheated after the newly established House of Death and Diamond, which Fallon belongs to, split off from the House of Gold and Garnet.
Oh.
So he wants to bring down both Nyx and Vesperus,
Okay.
using Fallon's power to wreak havoc and destabilize the realm.
So, okay, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
We've got, like, this power struggle between the houses, a goddess who can, like, disrupt the balance of the world,
Totally.
and a vengeful mercenary pulling strings in the shadows.
Yep.
It sounds like Nyx and Vesperus have a lot on their plate.
They do, and things escalate pretty quickly.
Okay.
So despite being essentially indestructible, Nyx gets shot with a bullet laced with, like, ancient blood magic.
Whoa, hold on. Ancient blood magic.
Yeah.
That can hurt a goddess.
Uh-huh.
That sounds seriously dangerous.
It is. It highlights the fact that even Nyx's immense power has limitations.
Okay.
There are, like, forces at play in this world that are older and potentially even more powerful than she is.
Right.
This incident also reveals, like, the depth of Vesperus's feelings for her.
I see.
So seeing Nyx vulnerable and in pain makes him realize that he can't live without her no matter the risks.
So it seems like their bond as, like, fated mates runs deeper than either of them initially realized.
Definitely.
But they still have Klaus and his, like, whole plan to deal with, right?
Right. So Vesperus,
Yeah.
along with Caspian, his second in command, and even Kieran, the consort from the House of Death and Diamond, they all work together to kind of uncover the truth behind the explosion. And eventually they discovered Lass's treachery and his manipulation of Fallon.
So they know who the enemy is.
Yeah.
But how do they stop him? I'm guessing it's not going to be easy.
Not easy at all, no.
Okay.
So remember how Nyx draws power from the moon?
Right.
Well, to save Vesperus, who's been captured and poisoned by Floss,
Oh, no.
she needs to tap into a level of power she's never accessed before.
I see.
So with the moon setting and the sun about to rise,
Okay.
she uses her stardust to literally pull the moon back into the sky.
Hold up. She can actually change the course of the moon.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
It's like a testament to the sheer scale of power Floss has woven into this story. Nyx is literally a force of nature, you know?
I'm getting chills.
But her actions have consequences.
Of course.
So while she does manage to defeat Klaus,
Okay.
free Fallon from his control, and save Vesperus, manipulating the moon like that causes it to actually fracture
Oh, no.
and erupt with volcanic activity.
That doesn't sound good.
No.
What happens to the realm?
Well,
Do Nyx and Vesperus even survive all of this?
that's a story for part 2 of our deep dive. That fractured moon spewing volcanic debris throws the realm into chaos.
You can imagine how the other houses react to this.
Yeah, I can see how that would raise some eyebrows. So even though she saved the realm from Klaus, she's now, like, considered a threat.
Pretty much.
It seems a bit unfair.
Yeah, it's a stark illustration of how fear and misunderstanding can drive actions even among powerful leaders.
Yeah.
The other houses don't fully, like, comprehend Nyx's power.
Okay.
And her connection to the moon is something they've just, like, never encountered before. So their fear leads them to see her as a danger to the fragile peace that's existed since a great sacrifice.
Makes you wonder if they would have reacted differently if they, like, understood her better.
Right?
So where do Vesperus and his house stand in all of this?
They must be on Nyx's side.
It's complicated.
Yeah, okay.
Vesperus is bound to Nyx as her fated mate,
Right.
and he's come to love her deeply.
Okay.
But he's also the king of the House of Gold and Garnet and responsible for his people and their safety.
Right.
So he's caught between his love for Nyx and his duty to his house.
It's like, what do you do?
It really is.
What options do they even have?
That's the question.
Can they, like, fight the other houses?
Fighting isn't really viable,
Okay.
even with Nyx's power, like taking on all the other houses at once.
Yeah.
Especially with the moon still unstable.
Right.
That would be a losing battle.
Okay.
And hiding isn't, like, a long-term solution either.
Oh, of course not.
They need a more permanent solution, you know?
Yeah.
Something that allows Nyx and Vesperus to be together without posing a threat to the realm.
This is like a real dilemma.
It is.
What do they do?
So this is where Floss introduces a really fascinating twist.
Okay.
Remember how Nyx arrived in this realm through her magical medallion?
Yeah. The one that enables her to, like, travel between worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she and Vesperus decide to create a new medallion,
Okay.
one that combines their magic and desires.
So they're going to, like, leave this realm entirely.
That's the plan.
That's a bold move.
It's a leap of faith, for sure.
Yeah.
They infuse this new medallion with the longing for a place where they can be together,
Right.
a world that welcomes their unique powers, where they can just, like, build a life free from fear and judgment.
Well, this is crafting their own destiny.
Right.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
So, like, where do they end up?
So they journey through different realms,
Okay.
seeking one that, like, resonates with the magic embedded in their medallion.
Okay.
And they eventually discover a world untouched by the conflict and power struggles of the realm they left behind.
Okay.
A world of, like, ancient peoples living in harmony with nature.
It sounds idyllic.
Right.
So do they find, like, the peace and acceptance they were searching for?
They do, but their arrival isn't without consequences.
Okay.
Remember, Nyx and Vespers are, like, powerful beings.
Yeah.
Their presence, even in this new world, has an impact.
Right.
They decide to share their magic with the inhabitants.
Oh, interesting.
They bless 2 mortals with their stardust.
Okay.
One, a vampire drawing from Vespers' heritage, and the other, a wolf shifter connected to Nyx's lunar powers.
So they're, like, creating the foundation for a new kind of society.
Exactly. This act sets in motion the creation of what will become known as the Blood Alliance.
The Blood Alliance.
Or a world ruled by vampires and wolf shifters.
Wait, so ruled by vampires and shifters?
Yeah.
What about the humans?
This is where Floss kind of throws us a curveball.
Okay.
The humans in this new world become subservient to the vampires and shifters.
So basically, like, treated as livestock.
Essentially, yeah.
Wow, that's dark.
It is.
So the harmonious home they longed for?
Yeah.
It, like, comes at the cost of human subjugation.
It's a twist that really forces you to confront the complexities of their actions,
Yeah.
In their quest for a peaceful existence, they inadvertently created a new hierarchy, one that privileges certain beings over others.
Right.
And it raises all these questions about, like, the nature of power,
Yeah.
the unintended consequences of good intentions,
Right.
and the true meaning of a harmonious society.
It's certainly not the happily ever after I was expecting.
Definitely not.
But it's definitely thought-provoking. Does this make, like, Nyx and Vespers the villains of the story?
That's the brilliance of Crave Me,
Yeah.
Floss doesn't offer easy answers.
Well,
she leaves it up to you, the reader,
Sure.
to grapple with the moral ambiguities and the unintended consequences of choices, even those made with the best intentions.
It's like, it has me thinking about, like, real-world parallels.
Yeah.
History is full of examples where, like, the pursuit of a better world led to unintended and often harmful outcomes. So Crave Me is more than just, like, a fantasy romance.
Yeah.
It's a story that kind of prompts you to examine your own beliefs about power, justice, and what it truly means to create a better world.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah,
It's entertaining and engaging.
Right.
But it also challenges you to think critically about these complex issues. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
I think it's time for us to, like, wrap up part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay.
But don't worry, we're not done yet.
No.
In part 3, we'll delve deeper into the supporting characters
Okay.
and explore the broader themes of the book in more detail. Welcome back to our deep dive into Lexi C. Floss's Crave Me. We've, like, covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, for sure.
Fated mates, ancient magic, a fractured moon.
It's been a wild ride.
But I kind of want to shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about the supporting characters.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, like, Nyx and Vespers' story, right?
Right.
They're surrounded by, like, this incredibly vibrant cast
They really are.
of characters. And they, like, really enrich the narrative.
I agree.
Each one brings a unique perspective.
Yeah.
And, like, plays a vital role
Definitely.
in, like, shaping the events of the story.
For sure.
Who are some of the characters that, like, stand out to you? I'm particularly curious about Caspian.
Yeah.
Vespers is, like, second in command.
Caspian is a fantastic example of a character who embodies loyalty and duty.
Okay.
He's like this fierce warrior, completely devoted to Vespers and the House of Gold and Garnet.
Okay.
And he initially struggles with the idea of a goddess as his king's mate.
Right.
But ultimately, he supports Vespers' decisions.
So it's like, even though he has doubts,
Yeah,
he chooses to, like, stand by his king.
exactly. And when Nyx and Vespers leave to create their own world,
Right.
Caspian steps up to lead the House of Gold and Garnet.
Oh, wow.
It shows, like, his unwavering commitment to his people.
It really speaks to, like, the depth of their bond.
Yeah.
And there's also Kieran, The consort from the House of Death and Diamond.
He's great.
I remember thinking he was a fascinating character.
Kieran is a very compelling character.
Yeah.
He's like this vampire-fae hybrid
Okay.
who wields death magic.
Right.
Like Vesperus, he values truth and justice.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays like a crucial role in uncovering Class's treachery.
Okay.
What's interesting about Kieran is that he's one of the few characters who can see past the fear surrounding Mix's powers and recognize her inherent goodness.
So it's like he sees the bigger picture.
He does.
The potential for good that, like, other people miss because of their fear.
Exactly.
And what about, like, some of the other characters I'm thinking of, like the Dragon Shifters?
Okay.
Niamh and Zabra.
Yeah.
And the Raven Shifter, Slater.
Niamh and Zabra as, like, the former sovereigns of Ireland.
Right.
They bring, like, this sense of history and ancient wisdom to the story.
Yeah.
They represent a time before the houses.
Interesting.
A connection to, like, a more primal magic.
I like that.
And then you have Slater, the Raven Shifter, who is known for his ability to track and read people's emotions.
So his insights are important to the story.
Yeah. They often provide crucial clues to the, like, unfolding mystery.
I love how Floss has, like, woven together all these diverse characters.
Yeah.
Each with their, like, unique abilities and perspective.
It's really well done.
But it's not just about, like, their individual traits, is it?
No, it's also about how they interact with each other.
Right.
The relationships between the characters are, like, just as intricate as the world itself.
Okay, give me some examples.
So you see, like, the unwavering loyalty between Vesperus and Caspian,
Right.
the growing trust between Nyx and Kieran, and the complex, ultimately tragic relationship between Klaus and Fallon.
Speaking of Klaus and Fallon, their relationship is like a dark reflection of Nyx and Vesperus's bond, right?
Yeah, it shows how love can be twisted and manipulated, especially when power is involved.
Yeah. It's a stark reminder that even in a world of, like, magic and fated mates, nothing is simple.
Right.
Love can be a source of strength and vulnerability. And in Klaus's case, like, his desire for revenge ultimately corrupts his love for Fallon.
He does.
Leading to, like, devastating consequences.
Sure.
It's like it's a powerful reminder that even, like, fantastical stories can offer insights into, like, human nature and the choices we make.
That's true.
Thinking back to the ending with Nyx and Vesperus creating the Blood Alliance, it, like, raises some uncomfortable questions about the cost of achieving, like, utopia.
Definitely. That's what makes Crave Me such a compelling read.
Yeah.
It pushes you to think beyond the surface level and grapple with, like, complex moral dilemmas.
Nyx and Vesperus, like, longed for a world free from conflict.
Yeah.
A place where they could belong. But their actions, like, inadvertently led to the subjugation of another species.
It's a reminder that even with the best intentions, our choices can have unintended and sometimes harmful consequences.
Right. And it's like a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
One that we can, like, apply to our own lives and our own world.
Absolutely.
It is more than just, like, a fantasy romance.
I agree.
It's a story that, like, challenges our assumptions about power, choice, and the very nature of, like, good and evil.
Yeah.
It, like, prompts us to think critically.
It does.
About the world we live in.
For sure.
And the impact our decisions have on others.
I think you've captured it perfectly.
So for anyone listening who is, like, intrigued by a story that combines thrilling adventure with, like, thought-provoking themes,
right,
I highly recommend diving into the world of Crave Me.
You won't be disappointed.
It's a captivating read.
Yeah.
With a, like, unique blend of magic, romance, and complex characters that will stay with you long after you finish the last page.
I agree.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Lexi C. Floss's Crave Me.
Wow, that went by fast.
We've explored the intricate world building, the captivating characters, and the, like, thought-provoking themes that make this book so compelling.
Absolutely. I hope this depth dive has given you a taste of what Crave Me has to offer.
Yeah.
It's a book that will spark your imagination, challenge your perspectives, and leave you wanting more.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been fun.
And we'll see you next time for another fascinating deep dive.
See you then.